Hey guys, and welcome to Inearspace's roundup for the month of June. And well, a few things did come in, and I did take a further look at a few other things. It's been quite a slow month, mainly due to me being quite focused on clearing up my backlog of products that need reviewing, because I got a bit excited a couple of months ago and quite a few things are flying through. And while I've mentioned quite a few products in the last few months on YouTube videos, I do still need to do the written reviews on my website, so which just take a bit longer because they're written, of course. So yeah, that's that. So we've still got a few products to look at today. No worries there. It's all good in that department. And the first thing we're going to start off and have a look at is it's a cable, and I've mentioned cables in the past roundups and stuff like that, but I've never really gone too in depth into one. The difference here is because this cable is really quite unlike any cable out there, and it's the one I'm using on my HD800s here. It's the double helix cables complement 3 cable. So first looking at it, you should be able to tell that compared to, well, just about any other cable, it's a bit of a monster. I mean, look at it compared to you know, the Nordost cable here. Absolutely no competition. Look at the size difference. That's Nordost's new headphone cable, the High Mal 2, and that's double helix's cable. Absolutely ridiculous how much of a beast this cable is, and it's not cheap. It's just under $1,000, I think. So that's about £600. £600 for a headphone cable, but it's revolutionary in what it is including for a headphone cable. Now I will start off with a few, I wouldn't say negatives, more cautions, but this isn't as ergonomic as the stock cable. This isn't as light as some upgrade cables you might find, and it's definitely not the most comfy. In fact, double helix cable, Peter Bradstock, the genius behind everything that they do, and I do have a few more of their contraptions, so to say. But he tells you how the best way to wear it is, and he says if you hook the cable under your legs like so, and you sort of rest them against your chair like that, you just take a bit of the tension off the cables up here, and it just allows for a easier listening experience. And I'll be honest, I reckon I've got a bit of a weak neck, 'cause none of my mates found it, such as Josh, you know, the other reviewer at Inearspace, or my dad. But I did find it to sort of give me a bit of a stiff neck after a little while. Then I'm the same, I find the Hi-Fi Man HE500 to do just that, and quite a few others don't. So maybe I've just got a bit of a dodgy neck. But for the, you know, that's only after in the longer listening periods, and that's when I'm doing other stuff on the computer as well that it starts to affect me. If I'm just relaxing back, head back, I can listen for ages. This is super comfy still, so it really depends how you're going to be using it. But in terms of sonics, I've not heard a cable that has such a level of refinement to it. And basically, some of the philosophy behind this is that everything's completely isolated. So from the balanced outputs of my Yulong, the left channel is completely isolated from the right channel all the way into the headphones, and the same goes for the right channel, it's completely isolated from the left. And then inside the cables again, everything's isolated. So it's basically like a dual mono cable system. It's really clever, and Peter's great if you've got any worries about what's going on and you think he's just talking a load of rubbish. Talk to him and he will clear up exactly what's going on, and it makes you realise that he's actually one of the guys who doesn't spur a load of rubbish about what's going on in his cables, while a lot of people out there do. I'm not one to name any names or anything like that, but some cable companies definitely do. And it uses a very clever cable. It's not a silver, it's not a copper. It uses a 22 AWG, so it's a very thick cable. And in that cable you have 7 bundles of Type 4 Lits OCC silver, pure of course, and then 7 bundles of OCC Type 4 Lits copper. So you've got silver and copper, it's their fusion cable. And this I think adds to the sound as well, and it's a perfect balance. And I'm not one to be in any sort of denial that a cable makes a difference. A cable clearly does make a difference, but depending on what cable you're using, it might just be a little touch, final touch to the end of your setup. This is the most dramatic touch I've ever heard a cable make. This is the most significant difference sounding cable, mainly through, as I said, it's the most refined cable I've ever heard, and it really does make a difference. It really brings a new air of light into my HC800s all over again. For example, it's so spacious, so on it with the separation. It gives the HC800s a nice little bit of extra bass, which they like, and leaves the detail and everything like that at its best. When I say it gives it a little bit of extra bass, it's not a bassy cable, it's just got some low end thump to it. And yeah, like for once I don't feel like I'm exaggerating too much on the differences a cable makes. Normally I feel like you have to exaggerate the differences to sort of emphasise the slight margins that a cable makes, but for once it really is quite dramatic, and it really is the best I've heard the HC800 sound. And yes, it's expensive, but it's a cable like none other. I mean, you might own the Fostix TH900s for example and think that that's quite a thick cable, which it is. But look at it compared to the mammoth of a cable that is the Complement 3. There's a different ball games, and it's other things. You know, he looks after you for life once you bought this cable, as long as he's alive anyway. And so there's that. He says it's built well. It's like there's a silica jacket, and I'm pretty sure it's like fireproof or something. He says you can walk over it and it's not going to even think about damaging the cable. There's all sorts of awesome stuff going on with this cable. It's really rocket science, and not just another, this is an OCC silver, we've done a 4 braid, and you're ready to go. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and some of them cables sound great. So yeah, that's the double helix cables, Complement 3, and they also make loads of really cool gizmos. These are some of the ultra short adapters they do. This one's the 2 times 3 pin X light into a 1/4 inch jack. So when I want to use my Complement 3 with say my CMA 800R, you just plug in and go, which is really, really simple. Yeah, it's a bit wonky and stuff, but there's no cable in here. It's all direct terminations, and I think it's a bit of a boss piece, to be fair. And then this is the RSA balanced, so the Codacon adapt connector balanced into a 4 pin XLR, so I can use all my portable cables, say with my earphones and my ball cans, balanced with my desktop rigs, which is really cool. I've also got a Codacon, so that connector again into a 1/4 inch, a single-ended 3.5mm jack, but that's down in my rig. And yeah, they make a beautiful lot of cables as well as all of these. So I've got their another one of their models, the Molecule SE 8 braid. It's a fusion cable, or it's their Synergy cable, I think it's called, and it's absolutely lovely on my Dynamic T5 piece. They make some great cables. So that's what I wanted to start with. And next up we have the Tisbury Audio CA1, which is a amplifier made in Britain, which is really nice. And it's a beautiful piece, as you can see here. It's like a wooden cradle on the edges, and then it's a machined aluminium in the middle. It runs off output op amps as well as buffs, and as you can see here, we have a nice LED. It's quite simple what it does. You have a single-ended input, just the one, RCAs, a single-ended output, 1/4 inch, as you can see there, and then we have 2 gain switches, and from there you're ready to go. As you you see, the blue light shows it's in ready mode. Just after you turn it on, it's in green mode, which is, oh, and as you turn it off, it goes into green LED, you can see quickly there, before it goes to blue. And that's just a muting relay, so you don't damage any of your headphones when the power drops or rises, which is really nice. Don't want anything getting damaged. It's £380, I think. Yeah, £380. I'll put the price down here if it's any different. And it's really nice because it's versatile. You can plug in the most sensitive earphones and you've got a pretty solid background. I'm not saying it's dead quiet, something like the Vorzuge, which we'll get to later, but it's very quiet. And then it can drive anything. You know, it sounds beautiful with my HE500s, and it can drive my HC800s, for example, but I don't like the pairing at all. The sound's a bit cold, very thin, lax body, but it's really detailed, really snappy, really fast. The bass can be a little bit lacking some oomph sometimes. So yeah, it's a nice amp if you get the pairing right. The HE500s is really nice. With my my ZMFs, again, really nice. Adds a bit to the treble, really brings out some of that, makes them a bit faster. And these supply all it needs in the bass region, so it doesn't really matter. But that's not the best capable. So it's really that fine to pair with that amp, and they offer a 30-day free trial. So while it hasn't paired with that well with many of my headphones, I recommend. I can't say I've tried your headphones with it, or maybe I have, but I've not written about it or something, for example. So I recommend grabbing their 30-day trial. Seeing if it pairs with your headphones, because it might just be a magical mix, or it might be one of the more duds of Synergies. So yeah, I really like what they've done. I love how it's everything's, well, where it can be, is sourced in Britain. They're obviously from Tisbury, which isn't a little bit far from me, but still, it's patriotic, isn't it? I really like how they made an amp that looks a bit different. It's not just another metal block. The wood looks really cool. And it's simple, versatile, and it gets the job done. So that's a Tisbury Audio CA1. And then moving down, we have another product from Yulong that I've received, and it's their D200 DSD DAC, and one of the cheaper DSD DACs out there. It does DSD over PCM, so DOP, so that's completely native DSD, and it has a DAC based on the Sabre DAC, the 9023, not the 9018 flagship, the 9023, which is in their professional series, just under their master series or whatever they call it. It's the same DAC that actually was using the BMC Pure DAC, which I know it's all about implementation, and this shows it's all about implementation because it's nowhere near as good as the BMC. That was a step up in performances, but regardless, this is a I guess a nice DAC for the price. A bit warm, a bit thick, but it's not in an analog sense. It does definitely sound digital, and it does. It's not living up to something like the Questo. It's not feeding it well enough, if I'm honest. But for the cheaper prices, it, you know, with the A28, that makes a really nice balanced rig, for example. You definitely do understand that DACs make such a big difference with this, coming off things like the Antelope for myself. Yeah, does really nice stuff. You have input switches, which is really cool. Let me turn it on. Turn it on. It's got a nice UI, really simple. Coax, optical, AES, USB. We've got all of that, which is cool. Does all your different, tells you your the sampling rate is, you have a filter and a jitter switch, which allows like a little bit of sound tuning, because you've got basically filter off, filter on, jitter off, both on, then one off, one on. So you've got quite a few things to play around with to pair with your headphones the best. And as well as that, you have the amplifier setting / preamp setting to use with headphones. So it's got a 1/4" output. It's actually fairly a powerful output, and you can actually tap into the balanced XLRs at the back if you've got the right adapter. I just haven't, because it's not, instead of the usual 3-pin male adapter, you're going to have to get female adapters at the end of the cable, and you can run it in a fully balanced configuration, your headphones straight from it. And with the headphones, I was quite impressed. It's definitely even more of a warmer sound than the just a DAC into a headphone amplifier, but it drives headphones really well. It's got a nice volume control there. It's stepped actually, which is more than I can say for the A28, which is really cool. And you've got the on-screen volume there, so you know what setting you like, and it leaves it on there. And as a all-in-one DAC and headphone amplifier, at the price, I'm really impressed. As a DAC, it's a nice entry DAC that does DSD. If you want to just get something that's cheap, does DSD, is a nice package altogether. That's where I'd be more inclined to recommend that. As something for something like my Questar, if you've got a better rig going on, it does start to show its flaws up. It does sound quite digital in that sense. Moving on, we've got a couple of portable headphone amplifiers. We've got this, the Vorzuge VORZAMP. It's just their original VORZAMP Pure. They've actually got a VORZAMP Pure 2, which I really want to hear, because this thing is phenomenal. I can say that word now. Nothing sing and dancer with this. It's not boasting 200 million things going on. You've got your charging on the back, you've got an on switch on the front, you've got the volume pot, which is nice and tapered, and then you've got output and the input. It's as simple as that. 3.5mm jacks from your source. It's not doing a lot more. It's not driving your big headphones. It doesn't want to do that, and I'm happy that it's a portable headphone amplifier. It's small, fits beautifully with the AK-100, for example, and my AK-120, which is where I've been using it the most. With my AK-120's Pure line out, as you can see, they're a lot smaller than the ALO RX Mark III, which is a more powerful amp. And this is my new reference for a single-ended amplifier, and I don't even know what I'm going to do if I hear the Pure 2, if it is actually better than this, because this is such a creamy, delicate sound with such a noise floor that's so free from noise. The most black background I've heard. It's amazing. With my T5Ps, with my IEMs, it's just delivering such a solid performance. It's quite a colourless sound. There's not a lot to talk in terms of technicals, but it's it's fast, spacious. It's spot on. I'm really enjoying this as a portable headphone amplifier. It's really nice in its looks as well. Nice matte black, very simple. Yeah, I'm really impressed by this amp, and as I said, I've got to get hold on its successor, the Pure 2, because I think this is a review, and I actually got this myself because I've heard so many good things about it, and it's delivered in every sense. So if you're looking for a single-ended portable headphone amplifier, or you have the ROAC or the PW Audio AK-120 mods with the line outs, and you want a single-ended amp that's going to really push the performance from the WM8741 DACs, then the Vorzuge is one that does just that, and it has a very nice synergy with it as well. Second amp to look at is the latest amp from LECKERTON in America. It's the LECKERTON Audio UHA760. And moving on from the Vorzuge, which is very simple in what it does, this is a lot more action packed. It features a DAC. Actually, it features the same DAC as the AK-240 uses in the Cirrus Logic C4398, so it's Cirrus Logic's flagship, just one of them in here though. The DAC is quite cool in the fact that any source it takes in, doesn't do DSD unfortunately, but any PCM source it takes in, regardless of its sampling rate, it will upsample it into 192, which in a portable configuration is really nice at reducing jitter and make everything very refined and smooth. So you've got your USB input, and then you can charge it while it's USB input if you're from your computer, or you can try and charge it off if you're using it from like a portable device such as a phone or Android tablet. So you've got your power on. You've also got a single-ended 3.5mm input, so you can use it as just an amplifier. And you've got your free setting gain switch, but still it's a very quiet amp. Not quite as quiet as the Vorzuge, but it's still very quiet. Even at the top gain settings, it's not really driving things like the ZMFs that well. It's not the most powerful amp again. the gain really lets you fine tune the volume, which is really nice. We also have crossfeed, which crossfeed is the amount of bleed from channels to channel. So with headphone use, one of the things that a lot of people say about is the lack of that surround stereo sound that you get with speakers, because even though your ears listen to the channels separately in speakers, your left ear still hears the right channel, and vice versa. Whereas with headphones, your right ear solely hears the right channel, and your left ear solely hears the left channel. And the crossfeed gives a little bit of the right channel into the left channel, and it allows for a more spacious sound stage. You've got crossfeed off and 2 more settings after that. So that adds for quite a cool little bit of play around there. And with the LECKERTON, you have a very it's a bit more of an analytical, borderline cold sound with very nice trebles, very clear mid-range with great clarity, and a bit more of an anemic bass, which is faster, more up tempo with a snappier but smaller punch to it. But if you want a portable device that's a DAC, with a great DAC, the DAC in here is very top quality. Actually, a lot of people say the successor of this, the predecessor of this, the UHA6 Mark II, actually is better as an all-out amp, because you can change op amps, and people just generally found it better. But this has a much more upgraded DAC than that model, and the DAC in this is top quality, and obviously synergizes great with the amp section. So as a DAC amp all-in-one unit that's portable, this is very nice. If you wanted just a single-ended amp, I'm still obliged to straight up say that the Vorzuge is easily the better option. So yeah, we've got a couple more products left to look at. One of them is the Audio-Technica CK100 Pro, and it's a much older earphone actually. It's been around since 2011, but I've always heard great things from it, with it being Audio-Technica's flagship. It's a free balanced armature model. It uses backwards MMCX connectors, so female and male switched around on the connectors, which is a bit odd, but that's basically means I can't use all my cables with it. Goes over your ear. It's quite an awkward fit actually. It's not as nice as some over your ear models, and it's quite a thick housing, so you can't get the deepest insertion. I've actually found myself preferring well, they're not on there at the moment, but double flanges with this. But when you get the seal right, isolation seems pretty spot on. I wasn't sure how I was going to find these, because I heard a lot of good things, but I also heard a lot of good things about the anniversary model that was released at the same time, the dynamic driven CKW1000 AMV, and that was horrendous. Don't even know if I had a dodgy unit or something, but that was absolutely crap, and don't ever get that. That's one of the worst expensive flagship earphones I've heard. This is a completely different sound. It's quite balanced sound, but the treble has got a very big peak at 10k. There's a lot of sparkle, sibilance can happen, and things can get a bit crashy quite easily. And I also find, because of this, after quite a fairly solid sounding bass that slightly goes downwards from the sub bass, it's quite a fast, snappy bass, not big bass by anything, but has a solid impact. That slightly moves down into the lower mids, and the lower mids can feel a bit sucked out. And then from the lower mids, things go straight back upwards into the higher mids with a lot of clarity, and then bang, straight up again in the treble. So I feel the lower mids could do a bit more pushing out. They remind me of the EX1000 mids actually, quite dry and detailed, which is not a bad thing. They are a very good earphone, that's for sure. They're not short. And yeah, the sound signature is not going to get on with everyone, but they are definitely a top quality earphone. The treble can be a bit annoying at times, but half the time it's behaving, and they're a very well presented, detailed, balanced sounding earphone. And for a 3-year-old model, they're doing very well. They've got no real flaws. When I say the low mids are sucked out, I mean it in the fact that they're not as forward as the high mids. They're still detailed and well and truly in the mix. So for an older head earphone, I am quite impressed. And I think it also just goes to show that just because all these newer models are boasting new technologies and they're new, sometimes you're best off just looking back at the older models and seeing what's going on there, because not only is the price falling on things like that, well, not the CK100 Pro as much, but on other models, they're still as good. They're still using the same technology. They're still using balanced armature drivers. You know, things haven't moved that much on in balanced armature drivers in the years. So yeah, that's worth taking into account. The last product today is this, the Fischer Audio FA-011 Japanese limited edition model. It's quite expensive, a bit more expensive than the original FA-011. Well, it says it's made in Russia. The wooden cups I think are made in Russia. The rest of it is pretty generic and pretty OEM. For a headphone at its price, it doesn't boast the quality of something like the HD 580s or the 650s more so. But the wood cups are really well finished. It's a semi-open design, so it will be leaking sound. I find the cups to be really shallow, which is a bit of a disappointment. The headband's comfortable and everything. These can be a bit irritating. They're a bit shallow, if I'm honest. The cable is a bit of a monster. Actually, tries to push the complement free there, look. But yeah, the cable is a bit of a monster, but it's obviously only entered in one housing, so you can't balance these, and it's hardwired. Strangely, it's terminated in a single-ended 3.5mm jack. Not a 1/4 inch, considering it's a 160 ohm headphone. That's clearly made for home use. It doesn't isolate nowhere near enough for portable use, so I don't know why they've not just given you a 1/4 inch jack and just leaves you having to use an adapter, which is no real problem, but I'd rather not use an adapter. But that's just me. The sound's warm, thick, a little bit dull, and for a home headphone it does lack soundstage, but it's very pleasant, very smooth, not the most detailed, and to be fair, I'll take a 650 over this every day of the week without batting too much of a sweat. It's not a bad headphone, but you know, at the original FA-11 price, this might have been a good deal. At the limited edition price, no, this is definitely feeling a bit lacking to me. I'd have the ZMFs up there for it, which is cheaper again. Especially with things like the old Hi-Fi Man models falling in price. No, I'm a bit disappointed by this one actually. So yeah, that's all for today. Should be a lot more stuff coming in next month. I know the Air 8.0s should be arriving today, as well as an AK240. I won my JH Roxanne, so very exciting times ahead. And thanks for watching. Please check out the website, it would really help. And like the Facebook page as well. As I said last time, it's a real nice community, people get involved with everything. And I am thinking about doing a giveaway on there. In fact, I will be doing a giveaway on there. Nothing too fancy, but it will be happening, alright? So like the Facebook page and so you can get involved in that. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you